Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're live, we're in the studio, so get involved in all the latest Manchester United news. We're going to be talking about United's trip to Turkey to play Fenerbahce, Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce. He's been getting a bit of grief off the Turkish media, so we'll be getting into all that. Plus, Antony has been linked with a move back to Ajax, but maybe he hasn't. Maybe Ajax aren't too keen. So we'll be getting into all that. Plus, we're going to talk about Sir Alex Ferguson and this £2 million job that he's lost. Because it seems now some in the media are sort of turning against him over it. He's been getting a bit of criticism for even having it in the first place, which I find a little bit ridiculous. But we'll get into it because it's in the papers and that's what we're here to do. We're here to talk about what's in the papers. We're here to talk about the Paper Talk, which means you lot need to get involved in that conversation. It's a conversation. It's not just me ranting. Loads of people in the chat already. Good to see you all. Santa Knott says, happy Tuesday, y'all. Adam Haser, Mick Hollahorn, Akash K, Flashburn 52. Who else have I got in there? Tyler Ward, Lewis Sanderson. Hair looking crisp. Jay, thank you. Just going to have a little swig of my coffee. Forgive me whilst we're live, but you know how it is. Thank you. Morning, everyone. LDT says, morning, Jay, from sunny Canvey Island, Essex Red. Man after my own heart. Hey, I was born in Colchester, believe it or not. I picked up a bit of twang, though, in my 44 years in Manchester. Right, let's go to the first story. Jose Mourinho. There you can see there. I love words like that. Fenerbahce manager Jose Mourinho has been slammed in the media this weekend after the Turkish side drew 2-2 with Samsunspor in the Super League. The former Manchester United manager's new club twice took the lead thanks to goals from Dusan Tadic and Alan Saint-Maximin, but were pegged back on both occasions. Anyway, they drew. We don't need to go into the intricacies of the result. But it says here, right now, Fenerbahce is mixed with unhappiness and hopelessness. Now, I think Fenerbahce in the league, I think they lost in did they lose the first game, was it to Galatasaray, or one of the earliest games to Galatasaray this season? And then since then, I think they've been doing all right. Let me just have a little quick butcher's hook. So they're 8 points behind Galatasaray, but they've got a game in hand. So Fenerbahce have got a game in hand on, there you go, last month, not first game of the season. It's there. They lost 3-1. So, no, by no means out of it, but that is obviously a bit of a frustrating one because Samsunspor, they've just drawn with 2 points above him. So, annoying when you throw away a lead. We all know about that at Manchester United. Some in the media not too happy with Jose Mourinho. He's got plenty of time, obviously, to have a successful season. I'm just wondering whether this might be the right time now for Manchester United to be playing Fenerbahce. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think. Not exactly a happy camp at the minute with Jose Mourinho and Fenerbahce, although things can change. It's only early doors, and he's only lost one of his first 8 league games, so let's not get too carried away. But there has been a bit more positivity at Manchester United in the past week. Obviously, winning football matches helps. We beat Brentford. Rasmus Højlund got a goal, and actually obviously getting the other one as well. The manager seemed pretty relaxed, didn't he? We saw him at that event the other night where he was taking the mick out of certain journalists. He seemed pretty chilled. And I think, United are going into this game on the front foot with a bit of a spring in our step, if I can carry on that analogy. Whereas Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce might be a little bit down in the doldrums. Let me know what you think. Am I looking too much into it? Do you agree? Let me know. Andy101, Parker or no Parker? No Parker today. It's quite sunny. Outpost 10 says morning Jay. Glenn F says morning Jay. Morning my man. Morris Marshall. Oh yeah. JB says, how you do, Jay? That Zirkzee story about going to Syria is bull. He says another word, but I'm not going to swear. It's the early morning. Surely. I think we've got that. Have we got that? Yeah. Producer Ben. Should we go on to that then? Yeah. We'll talk about that because this is from IC Football News. Well, there you go. I don't know about you, but they're my go-to people for football news. And it says, Manchester United summer signing Joshua Zirkzee is allegedly ready to return to Italy during the January transfer window. It has been claimed in the media. Yeah, have we got any sort of nuts and bolts of this? Skulls, do you know what? Well, we've seen enough. Gossip, there, the producers highlight that. It's gossip, it's nonsense. Right, he's not going back to Italy already, and he's not eyeing a move back to Italy. He's barely played for Manchester United. I know he's not set the world alight, but he has actually scored for us as well. He scored the winner in his debut. So it's not been a complete disaster. And this idea that he's already eyeing a move back to Serie A, you've just made that up, whoever you are. So, in answer to your question, JB, I have seen it, and it is exactly as you described it. Nonsense. And this is the thing, right, on Paper Talk. Sometimes we'll talk about stories that have a little bit of weight to them, that there might be something in them. Sometimes we'll highlight stories and go, look, this is being said. We don't believe in it. We might be wrong, but we'll always give you our opinion on a story. My opinion on that story is it's a load of balderdash. Some would even say poppycock. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Hit that like button, please, people. There's almost 400 people watching. We haven't got 200 likes. That is a disgrace, as Liz Truss once says. Santa Notch says, it has been claimed in the media. That's a proper, this is nonsense statement, innit, from that article, as he's just highlighted there. It has been claimed in the media. By who? By you? Hey, you're the ones claiming it. Akash K says it's gospel J. Annie says he's very slow. I think that's a comment on Joshua Zirkzee. Right. You can have an opinion on anyone. Yeah, you can have an opinion on a player who's played 3 minutes for Manchester United. I get it. But if anyone cares, I'm going to give you my sort of take on this. I'm going to give you the wisdom of my many years. It's not wisdom. It's far too early to tell with any Manchester United player in October who signed in the summer and didn't have a pre-season, right? I'm just going to put it out there. Whether you think Joshua Zirkzee is the second coming of Eric Cantona or whether you think he's the second coming of, I don't know, Alexis Sanchez, right? It's too early to tell. You might have a formed opinion, I think we all do, but I don't think you can comment on, or you can comment, you can do what you want, but I don't think we can make a proper assessment of how he's going to be for Manchester United just yet. It's too early, in my opinion. You may disagree. You may go, Jay, I've seen enough. I know. I've seen it. I know what I'm doing. I have seen enough of that kid to tell you he's the one or he's not the one. I just think it's too soon. I saw an article, right, in The Guardian, after Manuel Ugarte came on, I think it was against Southampton, for about 10 minutes, criticising him, saying we don't get forward enough. What? What are you on about? Like, not from his previous performances, from that performance. People lose their minds when it comes to Manchester United. Papers always try and look for things. People try and push certain agendas or whatever. And I get it. I get you watching a play for Manchester United. You're going to form an opinion. I just personally think it's far too early to tell. One thing I will tell you, though, he ain't got to Italy or he ain't been eyeing a move to Italy. That's complete and utter drivel. Let's talk about Antony. Talking about players potentially going back to their original or their previous clubs or countries. Man United are set to entertain loan offers for Antony in the January transfer window. Sources with knowledge of the club's plans have told Football Insider. Right, there's conflicting reports here with what's going on with Antony. You're seeing this one here saying that he's being linked with a move back to Ajax. I think we had one that was from the Mail that said basically he isn't going, or they're not. Or from I think we had one from the Mail, sorry, that said Ajax have doubts over re-signing Antony from Manchester United. Goes on to say the 24-year-old has scored just 12 goals in 86 appearances. So I don't know whether he's going to go back to Holland. There's always going to be a bit of noise around him because he's not really getting any minutes at the minute, is he? Minutes at the minute. He's barely played. I think he played against Barnsley. He's had a few cameos, nothing much. Struggling to even get off the bench. And for an £86 million player or whatever he cost, that's 82 million, sorry, that's not good enough. And also, he had a poor season last season, didn't he? So this season is the season he needs to sort of step it up a little bit. And if he's not getting the minutes, he's not going to be able to do that. United might just be ready to cut their losses. I keep going back to it. I thought it was massively, massively telling at the end of last season where he didn't feature at all in the FA Cup final. That's a big, big call from the manager there. You spent 80-odd million quid on a player. It's the biggest game of the season, potentially your job-saving game, and you don't give him any minutes. That says a lot. That says that you just don't rate him anymore. To me, you may disagree. And I think Erik ten Hag has probably had that conversation with whoever, the powers that be, and just sort of admitted that. If anyone's going to question him, go, okay, Dan Ashworth or Jason Wilcox saying, what's going on with Antony? You know, we've spent a lot of money on the kid. He's not getting any minutes. I think Erik ten Hag's probably been honest about it and said, look, I just don't think he's at the levels that I first thought he was. because obviously Erik ten Hag would have known him from his Ajax days. And I keep going back to this, and I don't want to slam Antony too much because I worry sometimes that I spend too much time on this channel talking about Antony and criticising Antony. I've made my feelings clear on him, but when we first were linked with him, I looked at his numbers, and just going off a numbers point of view, they weren't that great. I think it was 8 goals and 4 assists in his last season at Ajax for a team that dominated the ball, that dominated possession, that dominated games, that won 90-odd% of their games, or whatever it was, 80-odd% of their games. So I thought, okay, he's still young, he can kick on. So there were warning signs there. He had a decent first season. Second season, it's not happened. This season, he's not getting any minutes. I think it's probably best for all concerned. If he does move on, as I always say about any player at Manchester United, I'm more than happy for him to prove me wrong. Let's talk about Sir Alex Ferguson. I don't want to go too much into the article because it's like, you can see there, it's like an essay, isn't it? Let's just read this dissertation. Basically, what the sort of the gist of this article is, if you scroll down, see who's wrote it, or up, sorry, see who's wrote it, down or up, I don't know which way is it, I don't even know, I'm confused. So, Ewan Murray. Now, what, you can go back down further. I read this morning on my way in, and basically, he's having a bit of a dig at Fergie here. He's saying that, you know, he's completely, you can see there, his role was completely superfluous. That, you know, all them employees got sacked. Actually staggering that Ferguson didn't make a beeline for Ratcliffe and offer to give up his stipend, which has been paid since 2013. So he's saying Fergie actually is the bad guy in this scenario. He should have gone to Ratcliffe and said, look, you're laying off a load of people. Why don't you stop paying me £2 million a year? Don't quite agree with that one at all. I think Fergie was entitled to receive the money that the club were paying him. If the club have decided to take that role off him, that's fine. Well, it's not, you know, you may disagree, it's fine. I get it. I don't think you can blame Fergie for not quitting or not offering to not be paid anymore. That's just rubbish. That's nonsense. But there's all this thing about Pete Wright. There's this sort of snobbery that goes on all the time when people with like left-wing views or someone who's associated with socialism or whatever are paid a lot of money. And this article is sort of fraught with them. There's just throughout the article, it's like having digs at Fergie, you know. Oh, he could have done this, he should have done that. Why was he getting paid so much? Look at all these layoffs. Why was, you know, he's meant to be sort of all this sort of stuff. We know what Fergie's done for the club. We know what he was getting paid. It was a role that he probably felt happy he was doing. Now he's left that role, fine. I don't think we need to start having digs at Sir Alex Ferguson for doing that role in the first place. I think that's nonsense. I'm just highlighting it because it's an article that I read this morning and I just thought, that was it. Sorry, you can see there. What would the young Ferguson, an ardent trade unionist, have made of a scenario where £2 million was bestowed on someone who is essentially retired as those on low incomes were deemed dispensable? It's always the dig in it. What would the young Ferguson, an ardent trade unionist? So is that thing in it about, oh, if you're left wing, then you shouldn't ever be getting loads of money. So, look, he's not on that job anymore. I don't really think we need articles, 400 or 600 or 800 word, probably a bit longer, 800 word articles hammering Fergie for not quitting a job in the first place. Let's not forget, was you writing that article a week ago, before he stopped doing that job? Were you highlighting it going, why is Fergie getting all this money? He shouldn't be getting it. No. So don't start getting on your soapbox now and coming for Sir Alex. I'm not having it. Akash K says, Ewan is talking absolute dribble. Sir Alex is entitled to the money, I agree. Look, you may think it was time for him to not stop doing that role. That's fine. I just don't agree with the idea you've got to hammer him and say, well, he should have gone and quit anyway. Just move on. Right. Eddie Howe tempted. We're going to move on very quickly from this one. This is from Team Talk. Newcastle United boss Eddie Howe is tempted to join Manchester United and is confident he can turn fortunes around at Old Trafford. It has been claimed. It has been claimed is the thought, the theme. There you go. There's the word I was looking for. That one syllable difficult word. Theme. Do you want Eddie Howe? Because I don't. That would be such a United move, wouldn't it? I'm not saying that Erik ten Hag, you know, is going to get sacked or whatever. He's seems to be in a stronger position now than he was a few weeks ago. But if we do get rid of Erik ten Hag, I don't think going out and getting the manager who he beat in the cup final is the one to go with. Unless it's Pep Guardiola, of course. That makes no sense to me. Let's go and get the guy who's won nothing to replace Eric Ten Hag. Let's go and get the guy who lost the Carabao Cup final and with it the chance of winning Newcastle's first trophy in about 5 decades. Let's go and get him. Let's go and get the guy who got relegated with Bournemouth. Now, I know Eddie Howe's doing a decent job at Newcastle, but he's not exactly setting the world alight. Let's have a little bit of perspective here, people. Yeah? Where are Newcastle in the table at the minute? Well, they must be absolutely smashing it above United. If Eddie Howe's being linked with United, they must be doing so much better than Manchester United are doing. Honestly, Eddie Howe must be absolutely tearing it up if people are suggesting that maybe he could take over from Eric Ten Hag. Where is Eddie Howe? Oh, he's a point above United. Whoop-de-doo. Get a grip. You may as well go and get flipping Nuno in from Forest. Right. I don't believe that. Let's talk about some fullbacks. Manchester United defender Diogo Dalot has admitted he can't imagine what one of his club teammates has been going through at Old Trafford. Talking about Dalot Malacia here. Malacia has had no joy, has he? I think that's what he's talking about. Yeah. It's been. Oh no, it's Luke Shaw. Sorry. There you go. I'm getting them mixed up. Someone put the wrong word in the notes, so I'm going to throw producer Ben Jones right under the bus for that one, in case anyone's wondering. So, yeah, he's sort of sticking up for Luke Shaw. I mean, I thought Martinez did all right at left back the other day. Oh, I stand corrected. Ben Jones can throw me back under the bus because he is talking about Malacia. So Ben Jones' notes were right and I was wrong. There you go. We're all is forgiven, Ben. We forgive each other on Stretford, Paddock. That's just how we roll. Look, Malacia and Shaw, whichever one you want to pick, both of them, I've had a tough time of it. Shaw's not played since February. I think it's getting on to about 16, 17 months, is it? Since Dalot Malacia last played for Manchester United. It's not great. It is massively worrying. We want to see him back in the squad. I worry more about Malacia, to be honest with you. I worry what sort of player is going to come back from such a lengthy layoff. Is he going to be the same player he was? Because you worry about his career, don't you, when he's been out for that long, and certainly at the top level. We'll see. I like Malacia. I think he's positive vibes, and you need a bit of them. So, and it's not just about vibes. He's a decent player. He's not as talented as Luke Shaw. I think that's a given. But he did a good job in his first season. Played his part in some big wins. Remember that win over Liverpool at Old Trafford? He played in the winner against Arsenal. I know he had a difficult time against Bukayo Saka, but he played his part in a win. And he always gave his all, or gives his all. Shouldn't talk about him in the past tense. He's still a Manchester United player. So hopefully we'll see him back sooner rather than later. Get involved in the chat, in the comments. Sorry, I've not gone into a comment for a little while. Let's rectify that immediately. Annie says, still find it ridiculous that Shaw is on $5 million a year, waste of space. Iat says, still talking about the manager, are we? Yes, because it's been reported and I'm sticking up for the manager. Sorry, apologies. Glenn F says, all the papers going on about Thomas Frank taking over from Ten Hag. I guess that was wrong. Didn't exactly put himself in a shot window, did he, old Tommy Frank? Santa Knott says, exactly my concern is how long Malacia would take to be up to speed. Yeah, I don't think you come back from that layoff and just go straight back into the first team and you're all right. I think it's going to take a little while in it for the kid. And he doesn't rate him. He says he thinks he's pants. His pants, sorry, not pats. Mechanical Tiger says, should I go bald? Seems to be a trend for managers. Why not? Embrace the baldness. Let's talk about Aaron Ramsay. Straight news. Aaron Ramsay explained why he joined Arsenal in 2008. He was on the phone a few times, but it was the assistant manager at the time. There were some discussions with Rafa Benitez, but they couldn't really get to the fee. They could do something around the £1 million or £2 million mark. I think it was towards the 5. It went towards the 5, and that was the end of that. Rafa was very good, and the presentation he gave me was superb. I went to David Moyes' house as well. He was very accommodating. This is Aaron Ramsay talking about when he left. Was it Cardiff he was at? I forget. Anyway, it was Arsene Wenger who proved successful in the hunt for Ramsay. He went on to explain what drew him to the Gunners. Why Arsenal? I felt like Wenger, really wanted me. He was doing the Euros at the time, and they flew me over there, and he had a few hours off. We had lunch, everything about him and his vision and his plans. He had a really detailed plan. The amount of young players he brought through and have gone on was appealing to me. So I felt really wanted by Arsenal. So yeah, it was Cardiff, wasn't it? I remember when Ramsay was linked with United and he went to Arsenal. It was a big deal, that. People can sort of ignore it and dismiss it now. But I remember there was a lot of noise around it, and it felt like United had missed out on him. And people were getting a little bit carried away, if I'm being honest. There was a little bit, oh, he's the next big thing, and United in the mud, and Fergie don't know what he's doing, and no, United are going to regret this one, and all the rest of it. And whilst I think Aaron Ramsay was a good player for Arsenal, I don't quite think he lived up to expectations. There was so much hype around this kid. And he did all right, but he didn't set the world alight. And also, United under Sir Alex Ferguson carried on winning titles and getting to Champions League finals. And I think he might have even come before the 2008 Champions League. So we I'm not sure actually. I'll have to double check that one. But we certainly did more than Arsenal. Aaron Ramsay never won a title at Arsenal, and Fergie carried on winning titles. So, I mean, Aaron Ramsay might be happy with the decision he made. There might even be a case that what would have happened at United, would he have always started for United? Would he have always been in the team? I don't know. But I think if you look at the amount of players that Fergie got and Wenger didn't get, Arsene Wenger missed out or turned down so many amazing players. It's unreal. If you look at the history of Arsenal under Wenger, now I know he got a lot of players. I'm not saying he didn't, and let people get carried away. Obviously, he discovered or he brought in players like, Fabregas. Not he discovered them, but he took a punt on a lot of young players like Fabregas. He brought in Vieira, brought in Anelka. Henry, I think people thought was a bit of a winger. Not sure about the fee that they paid. He made him to one of the best strikers of all time. So there's obviously a pedigree and a success there you can't argue with. But Wenger also had Zlatan on trial. Asked him to do another trial. Zlatan said no and left. He had Yaya Toure. Again, he had him on trial, turned him down. He was offered N'Golo Kante, said no to that one. Cristiano Ronaldo was going to sign for Arsenal, and Fergie beat him to it. He'd agreed to go to Arsenal. Fergie saw him and then went and made a deal happen straight away. So he let that one slip through the net. So he missed out on a lot of players there, Arsene Wenger. And I think look at both Fergie and Wenger and who got who and who got what. I think Fergie massively had the better of those two sort of careers, if you will, when it came to signing players. Yes, Wenger got some great players, some fantastic players. There's no point in denying that. But I think Fergie probably had the upper hand. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat. Santa Knox says Arsenal spent a lot of money on their new stadium. Probably didn't have the funds to sign most players. They didn't sign most players, but they had players there that they could have signed for relatively low money. They had Kolo Toure, and he's like, there's my brother Yaya. He's a decent. This is before he went to Barca, don't forget. This isn't massive money. Anu Fergie made United the biggest club on earth at the time. That's the truth. Ital says Arsenal have backed Arteta more than Wenger financially. Tyler Wood says Wenger was a great manager. Fergie was the best manager. Daniel Coe says we took RVP from Arsenal. We definitely got the upper hand. Yeah, I agree. I mean, what was it, 20 odd million? I mean, they could have tried to keep him. Probably should have tried to keep him. That was a bit of a move, that wasn't it, when we got him. A bit of a move, he says. Joe Hugill, he's been talking about working with Ruud van Nistelrooy. Hugill's gone out on loan, hasn't he, to, I think he's at Wigan he's at. Did well in pre-season. I think Rangers he scored against, I think, was it? He's not played many games. He played like 3 games in total for Wigan. I like Hugill. He's a good player. He was massively highly regarded when he was at Sunderland. We got him. I think we actually paid a bit of dough for him. And then he did very well for the academy team. Again, highly regarded, highly rated. He spoke in there about working with Ruud van Nistelrooy and how Van Nistelrooy supposedly complimented Hugill for his goal. As this is, I think, I talk about pre-season against Rangers. He said how good the finish was, the movements created the space for me, how composed I was, and I knew what I wanted to do straight away. It's very, very difficult for a striker, for a young striker, to sort of break through into the United first team. And it's very difficult when you go on these low moves like we're seeing now with Joe Hugill. He's going to Wigan. It's a big move for him now. I feel like you have to sort of do something there. I know he's only 20, still a young lad, a very talented lad, but it's like one of those moves where people go, okay, what has he done at Wigan? We saw it with Charlie McNeil. I like Charlie McNeil, a very good player. He had a couple of low moves, didn't he? I think it was, I forget where he was. It wasn't Stevenage, was it? I can't remember. It might have been Stevenage, actually. Anyway, it was like, started off really well, then got an injury, couldn't get in the team, and you just felt like, is that almost his chance? I know that sounds brutal, but for a striker, it's very difficult. But the thing with the striker as well is, it's like people just look at it and can just look at the numbers. They can go, right, okay, has he scored? Has he been involved in any goals? With a defender, it's slightly different, isn't it? Or a midfielder. So we'll wait and see what happens with Joe Hugill. I don't think by any stretch of the imagination you can say he's not, he's done at United or he's not going to make it. He's gone out on loan. If he does well there, young striker, 20 years old. Like I said, had a very, very good career as a youngster. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, he'll come back and absolutely smash it. So quickly, and I'm finally, Diego Forlan is becoming a tennis player. The 45-year-old, he's older than me. There's hope for us all. So he's taking part in a doubles match in the Uruguay Open, becoming a professional tennis player. Why not? You're never too old for a career change. Akash K says, Jay, did you see the Peter Kenyon interview with Rio on Wenger succeeding Sir Alex Ferguson when he retired the first time around? I did. It's actually, I think it was Stephen Housen who asked him about that, to be fair. I think he did. Yeah, I did see it. I don't know. I don't think it was one of them in it. Yeah, it would have been great. I don't think it would have happened. Interesting to see this. Just a little quirky one. Diego Forlan. I like Diego Forlan. We've had him on the channel. Macola spoke to him. Good guy. Bit of a cult hero when he Forlan. Still gets his name sung because of what he did at Anfield. Let's not forget that. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with his tennis career. I wish him well. I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. Stephen Housen is going to be on the channel later on firing some shots at everyone, so you don't want to miss out on that. I've been Jay Motti. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.